Welcome back to the Clinical Hour. I am Shamarlington.
And I'm Fitzjoseph.
And I'm Brenda Roach.
Okay, so today's episode kind of came out of last week. We had a listener's letter and it was focused on domestic violence, and we decided to dedicate today's episode towards domestic violence. So we're going to be looking at, what domestic violence is, what are some of the signs of domestic violence, and if you could be susceptible, or the things that would make you susceptible to domestic violence, just to name a few things that we'll be running through today on the show. So before we get into anything, guys, I gotta talk to you. How are you feeling today?
Great.
Great?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I ask you to give me one word to describe how you're feeling, that would be the word you're going with. Great. How about you, Brenda?
I don't know if I would use the word great, but no, I'm good.
You're good.
Yes.
Okay. Great and good. What would I say I am? I am okay. I feel that had like a staircase effect, like great, good, and okay. Like
we're sliding.
Like we were sliding downward. But yeah, I'm okay. Leaning closer to good. So we're in the middle of, the staircase kinda.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of to get us back on track, being that we're gonna be talking about domestic violence, I wanted to read over the letter that we got from last week. I was listening to your recent podcast and I found myself thinking about my life. I am not married, but I have a boyfriend who I have been with for the past 10 years. We met when I was at a low point in my life. I was coming out of a nasty breakup and he was really there for me. However, he seems to think that I am cheating on him. I have been faithful to him for all of those 10 years. But he says that all women cheat, so he is constantly accusing and beating me. He can be such a nice man, except for the beatings, and I honestly try not to provoke him. Listening to your podcast, I realized that he is jealous, and it is not anything that I say or do. I think it is time for me to finally leave him. So just going over that to kind of set the tone for the podcast, this particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
And like what we normally do, we like to give definitions so that the listeners can be in tune with what's going on the show.
So domestic violence is a pattern of behaviors used by one partner to maintain control or power over another. That's the basic definition that we'll go with today for domestic violence.
Okay, basic definition. Mm-hmm. That's good. So understood. So it can consist of physical.
Yeah, physical is non-accidental use of form that results in bodily injury, pain, or, for example, a slap.
Yeah.
Burning, cuts, or physically restraining the individual.
Yeah.
So, and it can start off, simple, but then it progresses where it becomes more and more intense.
As time goes on, it becomes more and more intense. Yeah.
If we look at sexual abuse is unwanted sexual activity, using force or making threats.
Okay. So physical, sexual. And then I think financial, there's also financial, where a person may withhold funds or resources from another person in order to kind of like control their behavior and what they do. So that's also part of domestic violence as well. Okay.
True. When we look at financial, we realize it's not only the fact that the abuser is the one who is earning the money. Sometimes the abuser is controlling the money of the abusee.
Oh, yeah.
Where the person is working, but they have to account for every cent that they spend, and they have to put at the perpetrator's disposal their whole income.
I see. Wow. And emotional. I think emotional also.
When we look at emotional abuse, sometimes they link it with the psychological as well. So emotional and psychological abuse is any act including confinement, isolation, verbal assault, humiliation, intimidation, or any other types of threat, threatening treatment, which can diminish sense of self or identity.
Yeah, I see. Like when you mentioned their humiliation, I see that coming out a lot in terms of sometimes people do it in public.
Yeah.
Publicly humiliate the person. Like say for instance, pairing that with the financial. Say you're going to the supermarket and the person is, picking up stuff, and the other person is like, "What are you doing? What?
Why are you picking up this stuff?
Put
Yeah.
that back." And other people are around and they're seeing it, and that could be seen as public humiliation, which is emotional and so on, and also financial, because the person may not have the means to buy the things, and you know that you're buying them, so you decide out in public you're gonna have this well, not much of a conversation, but basically you telling the person this is what's gonna happen, so you need to put that back, and you don't care how they feel while doing this.
And on the flip side of that too, it could be that the person knows that, okay, when they pick up the things and they go to the cash register, they have to wait because they know, well, I'm not I don't have the resources that I can pay for this myself.
So they don't have that level of independence.
No.
And it's so interesting, when we look at domestic violence, sometimes some people will say, well, it's not really a big deal, but when we look at the statistics and we look at the prevalence, it's far more far-reaching than sometimes people really give credit for. Because even when we look at these stats, we recognize that last year alone, up to in first half of last year, the police were saying that they had over 204 reported cases.
Yeah, I did see that in Loop News.
For 2018.
Yeah,
208 cases.
204 cases.
204 cases. Wow.
Yeah, because it was only July when they reported that.
Yeah, and it said that even in terms of reported cases, for every one case that is reported, there are probably 2 to 3 more that haven't been reported. So it shows there for the level of abuse. And that is something that we will need to address, at some point in terms of what people need to do.
Yeah.
But even looking at other statistics back in 2016, we saw that in reports that the level of cases reported for 2016 were on an increase over 2015.
Yeah.
Where in 2015 there were about 429 cases up to October. In 2016 there was an increase over that for those first 9 months of the year.
Yeah.
So we see that there's that increase. But interestingly, we also know that the Domestic Abuse Act has been revised.
Yeah.
And whereby in the past where the person has been living in the same household to be classified as domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Now, even if it's it can be mother and child, or parent or child or parent, it can be person visiting partners, it can be friends, and it can include things such as stalking. So the Domestic Abuse Act has been widened to deal with the whole different aspects of domestic abuse. And whereby in the past, we usually attribute to mainly women that were being abused, we also see now that we are men engage men for the encouragement to report the cases of abuse.
And I was going to ask that just now in terms of your stats, if there were any statistics to speak about males coming in to report abuse, if there were actual numbers for that.
I can't remember any actual number, but what I was saying that the cases are reports by women who are far outnumber
the men.
Men.
But they still have some reports by some men.
Yeah.
Equality, so the guys are going in. So
and then recently there was the article that was in the Nation that sparked quite a big outcry here in Barbados, where the lady that was fatally stabbed by that one that happened. Was that? I think that was April.
That was
April,
last month.
yes, towards the end of April.
Yeah, with the guy, I think this was the second
time that he would have
something.
Yes,
something like that. That I remember reading it. I remember seeing what would have happened, well, the court documents that was in the paper and so on. But I don't know if the person knew about the history or knew that, the guy had done something like this prior.
Oh, you mean the victim?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, things like that, though, when we look at those sort of things with very persons and, and got killed in possible relationship, it shows that people need to be more aware of the cycle. Domestic abuse and death doesn't just happen. Something that your sons. And, the abuse will take place. Then there's what you call the honeymoon phase, where the person starts to do all sorts of good
everything
things.
is nice.
Just to bring back that person into
lure them back in, bring them back in,
into their comfort zone. Then there's a stage where it actually, it has to build back up again, where there's this tense, and it builds back up to where the abuse occurs. So it goes around the cycle.
Yeah.
But we noticed one of the things about that too is that every time that cycle occurs, is that the time frame
gets shorter.
It shortens. Yeah.
And the abuse then can be more intense. So where abuse may start off as verbal, then it can escalate then to its physical. And the physical can be just a shove, a slap, to then progress to where the person that may end up with broken bones or because it was used.
Yeah. So along with that, along with the prevalence and it happening and so on, the impact, the impact of these things happening and happening across the globe and happening to people and how they have to deal with it and how it has broken up some families due to these things occurring. Families, homes, and all these types of things due to domestic violence taking place in the place people call and consider home.
Because it can happen. At the individual level, where you talk about the broken families and the broken homes, and then of course then that would extend into society. And how does that impact society on a whole?
Right, but even coming up to the home, you have your children, children who they end up having to live without their mother or father. But then they're seeing it now. It impacts them in terms it can affect them mentally. So that they grow up to either be perpetrators themselves or even become victims, because then they're drawn to persons of like character in terms of what they saw growing up. So it does have that impact in terms of the child and children within the home.
But not only to the children, though, the psychological impact that can happen to either the victim themselves and maybe then having other issues that end up as a result of or as a consequence of. So in terms of so you would have the substance abuse, maybe using substances then to help numb themselves pain. Or
because it's a trauma situation that they're going through, so they're trying to get away from the situation and they try to adapt or compensate basically, and they utilize these substances to try to, as Brenda said, to numb the feeling or the pain that is associated with the act of domestic violence.
And we find too that the mental illness doesn't only occur with the individual who's been abused, but even people who are close to them, like their family members, friends, close associates, because of what's happening to them now, it can trigger things in themselves, in terms of mental illness. And then the other aspect too is that the other impact is that it can also be impact in terms of resources. You don't hear a person that can contribute to society. Individuals, one may end up dead, the other may end up in prison. That's two people gone. But then you still have to look at resources, to look at either healthcare,
which is already very taxed as it is, the healthcare system.
And then we have to look at, the person who's incarcerated, maintaining them
in prison.
But then when there's children involved, somebody may have to institutionalize the children because there's no parent.
Or there's no family member that can take them in.
But now that you said that in terms of wasted human resources, I remember it was this clip I was watching and it was about Ted Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember that
Yeah.
guy, and the thing is, the judge, the judge that he stood before said something similar to him about wasted human resources because he stood trial and he defended his own self, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge was saying you could have been
A
a
very
good
intelligent
lawyer,
person.
like
Yeah.
you could have been a good lawyer, like I would have like loved to see you practice the law in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to go in a different direction. Now we have a wasted human being because you decided to do these heinous things. And that when you said that, that kind of brought that back to my memory, you know, in terms of wasted human resources.
Right. But then you also have the extended limited resources.
Mm-hmm.
You know, funds is very okay, like in our economic climate now, and then we still have to put money towards healthcare, money towards institutions, money towards jail, money towards, you know,
And then the people to actually
Man
man these different stations as well. Yeah, and we have limited people as it is as well.
yeah. So the thing is that, you know, domestic violence, we need to look at it, you know, I'm glad that we are looking at it this evening
Mm-hmm.
so that we can address these issues, you know, holistically
Uh-huh.
to bring light to what's happening.
Yeah. And not only is there like, you know, impact associated, there's some warning signs. And I think this part is very important and I want to really highlight it due to the actual letter that we got. And we saw some signs coming out in there. So I think we can, you know, talk here a bit about some of the signs that can come out or that you can see in domestic abusers.
Yeah, one of the things that came out in the letter was that whole aspect of, she identified it actually,
Mm-hmm.
that he was jealous, and she was jealous, although she was faithful,
Yeah.
he was still accusing her of being unfaithful. So that is one of the things that you find that in domestic violence, that people, the perpetrator,
Yeah.
tend to be very, very jealous, you know, of, you know, any person getting too close to the individual because they think it is to isolate the individual from anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
that they can, you know, maintain that control over them.
And then the blaming.
Yeah, there was that.
Yeah, because she said that she's been faithful all the time. However, he says that all women cheat. So
Yeah,
that overarching blame there.
yeah,
That's-
there was the blaming aspect, and I guess to make her feel as though she is wrong, or that, you know, anything that happens is her
It's her fault,
fault,
yeah.
and he has no kind of bearing in it.
Mhm.
It is just solely placed on her. So basically, continually just blaming her, so she starts to question
Herself.
even the things that she does,
Mhm.
thinking, you know what, maybe he is right, maybe I did do that, and you know,
Mhm.
And that blaming to breaks on the person's self-esteem.
right,
You know, to make them feel less than
Than, yeah.
the individual, and again, that person being able to exert that
Mhm.
level of control over them.
Mhm.
And you know, even when we look at that, and as I mentioned earlier, the isolation,
Yeah,
you know, they seek to isolate them from friends, family,
yeah,
and even from children.
yeah. Some of them were jealous of even kids.
Mhm.
Yeah. So sometimes, you know, the person, they get in a relationship and the person says, "Oh, you can come and live with me, but not your children."
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
yeah, they do that. And also, and there, for me, I'm going like, would you say that he was being critical when he was saying, you know, all women cheat, like critiquing a situation and stating like, you know, all women cheat, so y'all are prone to cheat, so this is what's happening. And being critical is a part of it as well. You see this associated with abusers in that they are critical, and in this instance he was critiquing that, but they tend to critique a lot more things. They tend to critique everything that's done by the person, and sometimes even their family members and friends. They're just critiquing, I guess, in efforts to make them feel less than, as Fitz was saying, and to get into their self-esteem and to break them down. So they're always like passing judgment on something that the person is doing or apparently doing in the person's eyes.
And then coming out of that too, in the letter, you can see that she, I guess, dual personalities,
Yeah.
I was
because
definitely gonna comment on
she
that.
was saying that he is a nice guy,
Yes,
except
for
for
the
the
beatings.
beatings. So it sounds as though there are two personalities in play there. That I'm not sure if she identified that there were two personalities, but that's how it sounded. Dual
Yeah, that speaks to the
personalities.
honeymoon
Yes.
phase that Fitz was talking about earlier, where the behance and then
Nice afterwards. Yeah.
nicey,
all
about
the
it.
flowers and all.
Yeah.
Yes, make them feel ever so
Being
good. but-
extra, yeah.
And then, but then on the other hand, no, they're like a beast.
And then she's saying that she tries not to provoke him. So then it's like, okay, well, I want the nice guy, but then when I provoke him, then I'm liable to get the beast
beating,
to come out, and I don't want that. So I am going to be, since I am the reason, it's on me, being that she's like, I'm not gonna provoke him. So to me, it's like she's also taking the blame and putting it on herself. Like, you know what? If I do right here, if I don't do this, then it won't come out. So taking the blame in that. So these are some serious signs associated with this.
Yeah, but apart from that, it didn't come out directly in the letter. But then you have the rigid gender roles.
Yeah.
Where you have person, okay, this is what the man's supposed to do, this is what the woman's supposed to do, and any deviation from that is trouble.
It's trouble. Yeah.
Can't
handle it. Can't compute. Need a straight line. Need a straight line. Basically, if you step off the curve a little bit, it's like, wait, what happened here? I don't like this. This is different from what I know. So let's get it back to what I know.
True. But as I mentioned earlier too, in terms of cycle.
Yeah.
Domestic abuse doesn't always start with physical. It could be other forms.
Yeah.
We talked in definition about the financial and
emotional.
And sometimes it starts out in one area, but builds up. And the person may start giving the person a shove.
Or maybe shouting.
Yeah, getting loud.
Getting loud.
Yeah. Or saying to them, shut up. Tell them that they can't speak, almost treating the person like a child.
Yeah, being verbally abusive.
It's not necessarily that they're shouting or cursing them, but demeaning them in terms of, okay, when they can speak and when they can't speak.
Or I don't like what you have on. Go and change that.
Yeah. That ain't pleasing to me. We're going out in public. You can't be seen next to me and that, so you're gonna take that off right now. Right now. So controlling the person in a sense, and not even physically inflicting anything, but verbally saying things to cause the person to feel like, okay, maybe this person is right, and then they give a little more control over to this person due to the lack of self-esteem in some cases, and so on, as Fitz was saying earlier.
And then one of the other things we look at though is how that person treats family members.
Yeah.
How they treat their mother.
What about pets, animals? How they treat animals. Yeah.
Or any person of the opposite sex. How they relate to them. Do they see them somebody that they respect, or do they always say, like women are, like how he was blaming women always
cheating.
So you see how the person have a low view of the opposite sex. So that tells you a lot about that person.
And it's funny you say that, because there are some people in the situation that may think, yeah, but he might not do it to me, like he will do and say that to that person, but I am special, so he's never gonna do that to me until they're in this situation and it is happening to them, and then they're shocked. I was saying, but this is happening to me. I've seen it happen to other people. He's done it to other people, but I never thought
it would happen to me.
That it would be directed at me. Yeah.
True. So that brings up the whole aspect of the person being susceptible to abuse.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think, oh, I'm above this.
Yeah. You're correct.
It can't happen to me.
It can't happen to me.
So we can say, okay, you have the low self-esteem, but then sometimes the person's high self-esteem is, they think of themselves so high that it can never happen to them. That happens to them because they don't put any parameters in place to address that issue.
Contingencies, yeah.
And we also have those who are vulnerable in society. What about those vulnerable people, elderly people, children? They're more susceptible to
Persons who are
abuse.
handicapped.
Yeah,
Disabled people, yes, all of those people are
Yeah,
susceptible.
they're susceptible to these things as well.
And you know, one thing we see in the domestic abuse is this whole aspect of isolation.
Yeah.
So even persons that like to be loners,
hmm
who are isolated, they become, preyers for
Yeah.
perpetrators,
Yeah.
because they're already by themselves. They don't have any friends. They don't keep in touch with family. So okay, I can get rid of this.
Yeah. I'm also seeing it from the angle as in, let's say it happens, the act happens, it occurs, and then the person is feeling so embarrassed and they don't want to tell anybody. They don't want anybody to find out.
Shame.
Yeah,
And then they
shame.
start to withdraw, and you're seeing less of them, you're hearing less of them, and you don't know what's going on with them because they don't want to let you in on
What's happening to them.
I'm facing this situation like me, because as Fitz said, they don't think it's gonna happen to them, so when it happens they're in such shock
Yeah.
that they're like, it's happening to me, but I can't tell anybody that this is happening to me. This is not supposed to happen to me. So I'm not gonna tell anybody. Maybe if I don't say anything, it might stop and nobody needs to know, so I won't say anything about it.
Yeah, we definitely need to look at that, what they need to do. But, something else, when people use drugs,
Yeah.
And alcohol.
whether it's legal or illegal drugs,
Mm-hmm.
they make themselves vulnerable because they're not in total control of themselves. And persons, even if, we talk about sexual abuse,
Yeah.
persons, like around this time, we're going to the Kosovo Festival and different things like that. People going out on parties and drinking. They have to be careful because, they with drugs, people drop in their drink or in their food, then they become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because they lack control of their senses and their
Inhibitions are down and everything.
Very
Yeah.
low.
What about the history of physical abuse? So those persons who may have experienced abuse at some point in time in their lives and probably never had treatment for it, they can be susceptible as well.
Yeah, and what's so interesting that people who are abused sometimes seem to
Towards
either draw towards or draw
people.
Okay.
to
Okay.
themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, they move from one relationship, they get involved in another, and the person, when they think this person is going to be, they're like a China hour,
And then it
and
turns out
to be
another abuser.
wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. And then you have the children who were victims of abuse, whether they were abused themselves
Yeah.
or they're actually
Witness
witness
the
the
abuse.
and you find then that they're either become the victim as they grow up, or they become a perpetrator
of the
because they see it now as something normal, as something part of like, oh, that's the way to handle conflict, that's the way to handle disagreement. If she ain't doing what I want, let me slap her down. That's all I think, because that's what they're seeing and what has become like a norm for them.
And we would have touched on this a little bit earlier when we talk about financial abuse. So those persons who are financially dependent on others,
Yeah.
those persons are susceptible to abuse as well.
Yeah.
Because it's as though you're holding to the abuser, so you have to do what they say. You have to act how they want you to act in order for you to get any sort of financial resource.
And having said that, we can look at domestic abuse as something that happens mainly among persons who live in poverty. Yeah?
Yeah.
But when we look at what we have discussed about abuse, it shows that domestic abuse is not restricted to persons in what we call the low income or poverty, but it spans.
Yeah, I don't think it has boundaries like that.
It doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate.
The difference, though, is that sometimes because persons may have the money or the wealth to
hide,
they can go to the doctor and they can get the treatment to
cover up the stuff.
Cover it.
Yeah,
but,
to cover up the stuff.
It doesn't know class or creed or color.
But with all these things, in terms of science and being susceptible.
Yes.
Yes, because I think I called it a little wrong earlier in the show. But there are things to do. Like, what can a person do when faced with a situation like that? And like for instance, when we were talking to the person last week, to the viewer who wrote in, um, people who are faced with a situation like that, what they can do is assess the level of force that the person is coming with, because we tend to know when people are going to get physical. We can see certain signs, certain ways they may stand,
Mannerisms.
mannerisms start to change, and they look like they're going into
Mhm.
attack mode,
Mhm.
like they are about to do that. So I think that can signal danger in terms of, okay, I can see this is approaching to a point where this person is looking to get physical with me. So be able to like assess certain things that
Interaction.
yeah that's happening, pay close attention to that person's body language and the words they're utilizing at any given point in time.
Mhm.
Also, you could let's say find a safe space in the house, so don't run into the kitchen, because a lot of utensils in there that people can utilize as weapons.
Mhm.
But get away to a safe area in the house where there are not weapons that this person can access to inflict any kind of pain or anything on me, or maybe children that are involved.
Mhm.
And also have an exit strategy.
Mhm.
Learn a strategy in terms of your own house, how you're going to get out in the event that things get to a certain point beyond control, and you need to like get away from the situation as quickly as possible. Learn an exit strategy for, let's say, yourself and children if children are involved. And also have like
Go bag.
a go bag in terms of not in the house, but maybe by
Mhm.
somebody that you really trust. Have it already packed by that person's house, so that you just have to leave. You don't have to think about, okay, I gotta grab this, I gotta grab this, I gotta get the money, I gotta get that.
You just have to get
You
yourself
just have
out.
to get yourself and the
Out.
children, if they're there, out of the situation.
Mhm.
And have like a phone handy too.
Mhm.
Have like a phone, that's ready to go to dial what you need to dial in terms of the necessary authorities, so you can let them know what is happening as you are getting out of the situation. So by that, call the police.
Mhm.
Grab the phone and call the police and let them know what is taking place, what's happening at that time.
Mhm.
Not only call the police, but get into contact with a close friend. Close friends and family members, allow them to know what's going on in the situation as well. So call the police and allow your friends and family members to know as well.
But remember, there's support systems available to you.
Yes.
There's the Safe Foundation that you can get in touch with. There's the Police Domestic Abuse Unit. There's the Professional Business Women's Club, who are in charge of the crisis center, where it's somewhere that you can get for females actually who can get shelter for up to three months with your children, so you don't have to fear leaving your children behind.
Mm-hmm.
And there's counseling available at the family services section of the welfare department. So there is support out there for you. So you don't have to remain in that situation.
Yeah.
Utilize the services there, and please make note of those numbers, that those areas and the numbers that are available that you can utilize.
So I think Fitz would have left us at a good point there in the show. Looking back at what we would have covered in this show on domestic violence, we would have looked at a definition of domestic violence, which speaks to a pattern of behaviors. We looked at the different types of domestic abuse, physical abuse, emotional and psychological abuse, financial abuse. But I think one of the key things that people may identify with is, am I susceptible to domestic violence? So things like self-esteem. So try to boost your self-esteem. Think positively. We also looked at warning signs. Things that you can look for in terms of domestic violence. If you think that you may be jumping into a relationship too soon, or maybe just value yourself. Look at who you are and remember who you are and value yourself. Look at your relationships. Continue to foster those relationships with family members, with friends. Try not to isolate yourself too much and educate yourself. Look at what is out there. Research if you need to research. If you see things happening, if you see behaviors that don't feel right to you, stop, investigate as best as you can, talk to someone. And most importantly, for those who may see things happening, you can speak up, stand up against domestic violence, and speak out as much as possible.
Okay. That's wonderful advice, Amanda. We appreciate it, and I'm sure that everybody who is listening or viewing, they appreciate it as well. So we're gonna also ask for you guys to continue to write into us, the listeners' letters. At I think it is
Clinical hour.
the clinical. Yes, How am I even forgetting that? The clinical hour podcast at gmail.com. Write in your listeners' letters there, and we will review them, read them on the show, and talk about them. So we're gonna need you guys to continue to write in, comment, share, and like, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So it's been a good episode, and this is the clinical hour.